Wow, all right, a bright but chilly morning from where we're speaking from. This is TV47. Karibu sana to Morning Cafe. Kama habari ja kufikia jana, England walifanya ile maneno.
Oh yeah.
And now they'll be facing Spain in the finals of the Euro 2024 tournament on Sunday in Berlin. So for lovers of the tournament, mambo inachemka sawa sawa. My name is Freddy Ndimuli. How hot is the coffee where you are?
And I'm used to Stanley Nyarungita. Karibu sana for our Junior Friday. Finally, wiki imeanza kukaribia kuisha.
Imeenda haraka.
Imeenda haraka.
Imeenda haraka.
Minaona ni kama imekawia kidogo.
Dialogue ama sio dialogue?
No dialogue. But then, speaking of dialogue, this is what we're going to be having on State of the Nation.
Yes.
Robert Alai alikuwa anasema Gen Z.
He's been very vocal. He's been very vocal, especially on X, about the progress of this Gen Z protest. He does not like what you guys are doing, and he'll be here in studio. So yes, make sure you're watching us to know what he'll be saying. Plus, Gen Z, Jerry Kahiga, National Youth Leader, Political Party, PNU. She'll also be in studio alongside Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Shinga Ward, all the way from Nyeri. They'll be in studio. So
right.
Stand by on State of the Nation later.
On Law Matters at around 8 a.m. Fred, do you know that interfering with the estate of a deceased person attracts jail time?
Oh, deceased person.
A deceased person, yes. If you start intermeddling and interfering with your estate, huyo mtu, utafungwa.
Hata kama jamaa yuko.
Yes.
Okay.
Advocate Paul Mashere will be joining us for that conversation. You definitely want to be part of this and just to know what the dynamics are according to the Law Succession Act.
All right.
So the headlines.
Misadvised, blame it on Ruto, AG says, and this is a very interesting headline for a Thursday morning. Things are boiling nicely, I'm telling you. When you see now the AG coming out to say this, things are getting quite interesting.
On the Daily Nation, that is what they're asking. Where are they? And photos, they'll be getting back to see who these people clustered there are.
Raila aogopa salamu za Gen Z, Kwani mulimsalamia?
Tulimwambia, just in case you're thinking about it.
Tutakusalamia. Akaogopa. Habari kuu pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. On the Business Daily, how diesel cargo sparked fresh Kenya-Uganda fallout. Now this is a revelation of what really happened for Kenya to impose a new levy in Mombasa for the oil imported by Uganda.
Azimio leader Raila Odinga is back on the front page of People Daily. They say Raila eats humble pie. Hiyo maneno ya yeye kuambia we will greet you.
Backlash forces Raila out of state dialogue. This is another interesting headline on the front page of the Star. We'll come back to this later on, but let's cross the border into Uganda. TikToker jailed 6 years. Yeah, there's a new vision in Uganda. UCC warns against online extortion. A lot of this happens even in Kenya.
Yeah.
Yes. So in Uganda, jamaa amefungwa miaka 6 na iwe funzo kwa wengine kama wao hapa Kenya.
They're also preparing for the 2026 polling stations and the elections that will be happening come 2026 in that country, in Uganda. And
I'm informed that this one is linked to some messages he posted about the president and his family.
Hey.
And in Kenya, watu wanarusha tu maneno pale TikTok. Chunga sana.
Speaking of which, the M7, as they call him, Yoweri Museveni picture there is saying thieves in my government.
Give them no bail.
No bail.
That's a Daily Monitor.
Yes.
It is interesting. You know, in Kenya, even a murder suspect is bailable. Yes. But in Uganda, the president's call, it says that the same that should apply to rape suspects, terror suspects, as well as murder suspects, even corruption suspects in his government should be denied bail. Yeah. Well, there's a difference in the laws between Kenya and Uganda, and probably there it works. In Kenya, everyone is bailable, including murder suspects. So it says
initially it wasn't there, and right now it has been introduced. So,
yes.
And they've even have the MPs on remand for corruption without bail.
Yes. In Kenya, everyone is bailable. Yes. So at least 5 MPs in Uganda are still in jail. Interesting.
In Tanzania, kwenye gazeti la Mwananchi, they continue this series of special reports on how churches and all that, masharti kibao kumwona nabii. Sasa uchunguzi wabaini ugumu kuona manabii wachungaji na maaskofu wa madhehebu yao. Waumini wasimulia hali halisi, wengi wana masharti ikiwemo viwango tofauti vya malipo. Nabii Suguya aeleza ilivyo kanisani kwake.
Kuna jamaa tu wana collect pale kwa gate. Unataka kuona nabii? Achilia hapa.
Achilia.
Kama una pesa pole.
Laki
5 pale. Lakini pesa za Tanzania. So kama unaweza afford 5 za Tanzania unaweza kumuona nabii. The same story on the front page of the Citizen, how miracles are staged by crafty pastors. This is a different angle, but still on the same storyline about how churches and religious organizations are taking advantage of the masses. And here they say they're revealing how people are hired to be part of miracles and testimonies that are carefully choreographed to present an impression of divine intervention among unsuspecting congregants. I think in Kenya we already know this thing happens. It's not, we're not even shocked. Tunajuanga hapo umetucheza lakini sawa.
Umeanza stories za ajabu hapo. Another
highlight on the front page of the Citizen, why rents for Dar high rises have plunged. So apparently rents in Dar es Salaam is going down. That has never happened in Kenya.
So tuanze kutafuta
TZ. So they say, are you looking for a high-end office or apartment in Dar es Salaam, but think the rents are sky high? A new report suggests that this could be an opportune moment to have second thoughts. Wow.
Okay.
Matters rent in Tanzania. So those are the dailies, and we'll be coming back to take a look at them. Let's take a look at the traffic situation back in Nairobi. The major tributaries are looking good this time of the morning. Everything is looking green. Apart from a section here in Gitaru I've seen. Just before you get to Kikuyu, the Kikuyu interchange at Gitaru, yes, there's a bit of a snarl up there on the main highway. Sasa nanifanyia ile maneno. Yes. Just around Sigona there, just before you get to Gitaru, the interchange with the bypass, and he keeps doing that, I don't know why. Amani vidole zimenona.
You keep tapping.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
Further down along the Wayaki Way, all the way past Westlands into town is looking good. So nothing much to report about there. South of Nairobi, and looking at areas around Southern Bypass next to Uhuru Gardens, looking good. Langata Road 2, looking good all the way from Galleria to the Nyayo Stadium roundabout. Mombasa Road is looking fine this morning as well, all the way from Lolongo to the city center. Nothing to report there. So is Thika Road, and we're going as far back as Githurai, all the way past Kasarani, Ruaraka, and into town, and even at the Pangani interchange, where it's usually problematic, it's still yet to build up. So at this time, 9 minutes past 6, it's still looking good. Even guys who are coming from Kiambu Road, if you can make it past the Pangani interchange right now, you can make it to town in good time. Finally, Jogoo Road, looking good also. Just normal traffic around Makadara, Mbotela area, and around City Stadium roundabout, and probably once you get to Landis Road and Haile Selassie Avenue as you get into town. So nothing much to report there. I think the only incident we saw is here.
Hapa Joska, so in case uko Kangundo Road na uliambiwa interview ni saa 2 asubuhi.
Hapa italeta shida hapa. Around Joska area there, next to Moja, just before you get to the Taring Road. So yes, a bit of snarl up there on both sides, so there could be an incident around Joska. Traffic is a bit slow there for people using that road towards town or out of town heading towards the other direction. So that's the traffic situation this morning.
Let's take a look at the weather updates according to the Kenya Meteorological Department and see. Now for today, we'll be taking a look at today as well as for the next 5 days forecast. In different towns, in Nairobi, highs of 24 degrees Celsius and lows of 13 degrees Celsius. It's going to be cloudy and sunny. Leo kuna mvua, by the way. Leo unaweza vaa warmly, lakini si lazima leo ubebe umbrella if you're in Nairobi, that is. If in Mombasa, you might need that umbrella because it is going to be raining. They say sunny intervals as well as showers, highs of 30 and lows of 23. That's also light showers in Kisumu, highs of 28 and lows of 17 degrees Celsius. In Eldoret also, it's going to be raining. Lows of 13 degrees Celsius. Nakuru, no rain today, sunny intervals, highs of 24 degrees Celsius. In Nyeri as well, just going to be cloudy, so do expect baridi shadidi vilivyo in Nyeri. Marsabit, highs of 26 degrees Celsius. Finally, let's take a look at what Met Department says how the next 5 days are going to be looking like. Rainfall is expected over some parts of the highlands east and west of the Rift Valley, the Lake Victoria Basin and the Rift Valley and the coast. So do expect rainfall getting into the weekend, and intermittent cold and cloudy conditions are also expected over some parts of the highlands east and west of the Rift Valley, the southern eastern lowlands and the Rift Valley. That is how the weather is going to be looking like today until the next 5 days. Also, what to expect for today. There's a lot that is happening today, by the way. First off, into matters courts in Shanzu, it is going to be day 3 of the trial listening, where Shanzu Principal Magistrate Leah Juma will continue listening to witnesses of the trial of suspected Kilifi cult leader Paul Mackenzie, in a case in which he and 93 others are co-accused in terror-related offences. We'll be telling you more about that in our bulletins. Also today, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, has summoned the DAB MP, that is Farah Maalim, to appear before the commission this morning. We'll be following up on how that will be happening. So the commission is investigating utterances made by the MP in Somali language on the Gen Z demonstrations against the Finance Bill 2024. Today is World Population Day. Yes, so the National Council for Population and Development will today be leading those celebrations across the country. It is themed Embracing Data for Decision Making. So we do expect these celebrations across the country. This is a day set aside by the United Nations. In court today, former Kiambu Governor, that is Ferdinand Waititu Babayao, will today be appearing before the Milimani Anti-Corruption Court. Matters graft as well. Away from that, so cabinet secretaries are expected to submit the names of staff to be retained by close of business today. This is after public service boss Felix Koskei slashed the number of advisors to cabinet secretaries from 2 to 1. So each CS is going to have 2 personal staff only, and ministers are set to submit these names by today. Something else that is going to be happening today at the Kenya School of Government, Azimio core principals, that is Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and ODM chief Raila Odinga, will be engaging with the young people around there from morning all the way to evening. And finally, ODM members of parliament from Mombasa County, led by Likoni MP Mishimboko and Malindi MP Amina Laura Imnyazi, will be holding a press conference outside the Bunge, pale tu nje ya Bunge, so that they talk to people about the lands between ODM party, leader Raila Odinga, as well as William Ruto, and the whole proposed national dialogue. That and much more coming up in our subsequent bulletins, so stick around for that in our news diary. Right now, though, let's take a look at Today in History. On this day, South African double 800-meter Olympic champion Caster Semenya won her appeal at the European Court of Human Rights against World Athletics rules, requiring her to artificially lower her testosterone levels.
All right, Masaya Magazeti sasa, let's take a look at the dailies this morning. Right, we start off with a stand this morning. Misadvised, blame it on Ruto, the Attorney General says. And they say it wasn't me. In a bold step, Attorney General Justin Muturi has come out to say the president does not consult him on a number of key decisions. Interesting. In spite of being the chief legal advisor on various legal issues, and that is why government has been a butt of jokes in corridors of justice. This story is on page 4 of this daily, and it goes on to say that on 1, the military deployment, the Attorney General says he was not consulted. It was done without his input. He says no one sought his legal opinion. Secondly, on police brutality, he says there is no law that allows police to harm peaceful protesters, and that he would never give such advice. And thirdly, on public debt audit, according to Muturi, the debt probe can only be done by the Auditor General. He says his opinion was not sought prior to the announcement to form a task force. Interesting.
Oh, yes.
And it's something, and you see now the way the country is in a crisis, and then you start seeing the AG pulling away from the president, saying, mimi siko na wewe. It tells you a lot. It tells you a lot. Other stories given prominence on the front page. CBK's taste for fine whiskey flies in face of austerity talk. Now listen to this. The Central Bank of Kenya has issued a tender for the supply and delivery of assorted premium wines and spirits for the Kenya School of Monetary Studies. This is in spite of the president's order to cut spending on luxury items and embrace austerity measures across departments. Hapo kitaumana. Also a story there featuring on the front page at the bottom right corner, a country mourns Kuna touched many lives, and that's following the death of the JCC pastor, Reverend Kuna. To the very top strip, more talking points. Raila backtracks again in a series of missteps. They say opposition leader yesterday said he was not for a handshake after backlash from Gen Z over dialogue suggestion. But this conversation will continue. Yesterday, MPs from the Rift Valley were saying they are all for a government of national unity. Yeah. And ODM also issued a statement saying that whatever Raila says, that's how they will do. All right. Elsewhere, government commits to paying 165 billion shillings in pending bills. We've had these promises before. Will it really happen? And finally, queries raised over missing billions at KRA. That's in the business pages, page 19. That's a standard this morning.
Billions ni nyingi. Ukiuliza where's the money? Daily Nation is asking, where are they? Matters abductions, families searching for their loved ones are demanding that the state produce them. They say the last time Mukhtar Tashe Ali Nura Abdi Diba and Isa Osman was seen was on the 6th of July as they left a restaurant in Isiolo town. They were seized by police officers and bundled into waiting vehicles. The trio is among at least 18 people who have gone missing across the country and are suspected to be in the custody of security agencies over the youth protests. Are they still alive? When will they be released? As on pages 6 and 7. Other headlines on the mid, Raila's handshake dilemmas, Kalonzo walks away. And they have on both sides for Raila Odinga, while Odinga's ODM is backing calls for national dialogue announced by President Ruto. The opposition chief says he has received reports from some of his party leaders that a majority of Kenyans are against a handshake with the president. Meanwhile, Wiper leader Kalonzo says he is not interested in joining hands with the Kenya Kwanza government, as he does not want anything to do with the President William Ruto's administration. Away from matters dialogue and all that, actually still on matters dialogue, now in health matters, on the left strip, will post interns in batches, that is according to Health CS Nakumicha, who says her hands are tied on posting and payment of medical interns, and announces some 552 interns will be posted as she awaits a court ruling on the same matter on the 26th of September. On a final headline on, matters international, US elections, Biden back to vote hunt despite calls to quit the contest. But then Pilot Chini matters counties revealed counties with the most illegal bank accounts. They say Bungoma leads with the pack with 352 bank accounts, followed by Baringo 304, Migori 208, and Nyandara with 86.
How do you even keep track of those bank accounts? 304 bank accounts.
Labda sasa umetafuta watu 304 ama watu less than that, and you employ someone and tell them, look for these 5 bank accounts specifically.
You can't keep track. So, kuna mahali mambo itaharibika tu.
True.
Yes.
Another headline, Alama's 316 Kenyans die in Gulf states in 2 years. That is the front page of Daily Nation.
All right. Kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo, habari kuu pale, Raila aogopa salamu za Gen Z. Kiongozi wa upinzani Raila Odinga jana alipiga abwautani kuhusu uwezekano wa kubuni serikali ya muungano, huku chama chake cha ODM kikiunga mazungumzo ya kitaifa yanayopangwa kuanza wiki ijayo. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa pili. Wasema siku moja baada ya kukutana na rais, Odinga sasa asema hata shiriki mdahalo wa kitaifa. Inamaanisha nini? Na kuna picha pale chini ya wale majamaa walikuwa KICC juzi. Habari zingine, mbunge mashakani kuhusiana na kauli, na huyu ni mbunge wa Dadaab Farah Maalim, aliripotiwa kudai angewaangamiza vijana wa Gen Z waliovamia majengo ya bunge. Habari yenyewe kwenye ukurasa wa 3. Kwingineko, mpasuko katika kanisa Katoliki. Kanisa limegawanyika iwapo itaruhusu wanawake kuhudumu kama mashemasi. Pale juu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo, sitaki kuingia serikalini asema Kalonzo. Na kwenye masuala ya spoti, Uhispania ilivyofuzu kwa fainali na sasa watacheza na Uingereza Jumapili ijayo. Taifa Leo hii leo.
On to People Daily, let's take a look at the headlines that People Daily goes with this morning. Well, the big headline there concerns the dialogue and the national dialogue. They say Raila eats humble pie. Matters revelation, opposition leader retreats on his calls for dialogue with brave youths after public backlash. Azimio partner Kalonzo warns that Kenyans want action and not talks to sanitize a falling regime. But other headlines there, another, the same, Farah Maalim. Farah now in trouble over shoot protesters' comments. As on page 3. Into health matters, ways to keep high blood pressure on check. Pale juu, foreigners plotting to grab power using protests. That is according to President William Ruto. Different angle on all these conversations about protests as well. How true that is, we wait to see if foreigners are actually plotting to grab power. On to Business Daily.
Yes, on the front page of the Business Daily, how diesel cargo sparked fresh Kenya-Uganda fallout. You remember earlier this week, this issue about oil was both on the front pages of the Daily Monitor in Uganda and in Kenya. Now, this is a revelation. KRA demanded a bond fee of undeclared 17,000 cc. State House intervened to have consignment offloaded. Now, this is the issue. An undeclared consignment of 17,000 cubic meters of diesel shipped to Mombasa by Vitol Bahrain on behalf of Uganda triggered the latest standoff between Kampala and Nairobi. This according to an official correspondence, with Kenya reacting by imposing a bond fee on the disputed cargo. So Kenya says, si ati tuna ubaya, nienda unataka kucheza rafu. Also on the front page of the Business Daily, Safaricom cuts CEO Ndegwa's annual bonus by 62 million. You mean the bonus is so big you can cut it by 62 million? Bado kuna baki kitu. Safaricom CEO, his annual performance bonus fell by 62.2 million in the year to March 2024, marking the first time his pay has dropped since he was appointed in April 2020. Now the disclosures report for the 12 months ending March show that the company paid Mr. Ndegwa a bonus of 134.1 million shillings in the period, compared to 196.3 million in the year to March 2023. Any bonus?
Wow.
Any bonus too. On the ticker, Kenya's domestic debt jumps by 577 billion shillings in a year. Elsewhere, Tanzania's Amsons makes 23 billion Bamburi buyout offer. And the highlights, Simba Corp enters electric vehicle market with Kenya Power deal. And finally, Eurobond yield falls, shilling steady amid downgrade. That's the front page of the Business Daily.
Ian Ndegwa, you're eating life with a big spoon.
I tell you. You need a spade to eat it like that.
How does this spoon is spade? On the front page of the Star, backlash forces, and backlash has been used by a number of dailies ever since actually wiki yanze. Backlash. So the Star says backlash forces Raila out of state dialogue. Kalonzo says he won't engage in any process that appears to sanitize Ruto. But away from that whole conversation about matters dialogue, pale chini, they also mention a focus of what Meteorological Department says rain to let up this weekend, but cold to persist, says Met Department. Hey, it was so chilly yesterday. You had to unavaa scarf kama mbili na bado. Away from that, in Naivasha, motorbike thug attacks 10 women, kids in Naivasha, just showing how fear has engulfed, they call it the Kayole Estate. And Maalim casualty as Kalonzo cracks whip on rebel MPs. And one of the MPs there is Dadaab MP Farah Maalim. And finally, Kule Juu, Kenyan officials free as Israeli farm found guilty and fined 9 billion Kenyan shillings. Coverage of that is on pages 4 and 5. That has to do with matters bribery and graft as well. And that is the Star. And that takes us to the cartoons this morning. Your standard Leonie page 14, your Gamzo. MPs are really sweating, thinking about either to recall a clause or Gen Z protests, and which is the most fierce of the two of them.
Oh yeah, these are the nightmares they're experiencing while they sleep. The recall clause, which Gen Zs are really looking to use once IEBC is in place, as well as the Gen Z protests themselves. Remember yesterday we had a member of parliament here, and one of the headlines was saying MPs wako mafichoni.
Wako mafichoni,
yeah. They're still not comfortable. Unlike their counterparts in the Senate, who are back and still working, members of the National Assembly have kept away. On page 15 of the Daily Nation talks about Kenya's contingent to the Paris Olympics, and a caricature of the Cabinet Secretary for Sports, Bobu Namwamba, saying there will be no joyriders, but he has a curtain on the red carpet runway, red carpet towards the plane, and he appears to be hiding something behind the curtain, but he says there will be no joyriders. But the curtain there means there's no clarity on who's going for the trip. So, will there be joyriders? That's the question. As far as Kenya's team to the Paris Olympics later this month.
On the Star, so mambo ni matatu. They have the president there, as well as a caricature that looks like President William Ruto. Ingine inakaa ya IG Japhet Koome. So tulikuwa tumezoea mambo ni matatu, wame scrub off matatu wakaeka mengi.
Mambo ni mengi.
Mambo ni mengi.
These issues of cabinet, the killings by the police, extrajudicial killings, IEBC. Maswala ni mengi kweli.
Yes.
All right.
And finally on Stanu's Tech, page 10, ya People Daily, a tree, and on both sides, a caricature that looks like President William Ruto na ingine Azimio leader Raila Odinga. They are fearful that if they fall on those branches, wataanguka kwa moto ya political temperatures. And they're both thinking about government of national unity. And those are the cartoons for you this morning.
All right, and we'll be looking at some of these sentiments on State of the Nation with the panelists after the break. Robert Alain, Jerika Higa, and Kiroga Dhuku will be in studio. So you can be part of that conversation as well on our social media channels, on X at TV47 News, and on Facebook, TV47 Kenya. You can always tag me. On X, my handle is at Fred Indemili.
At Nyerungita _2047 is our SMS number. Coming up at around 8 a.m. on Matters Low, did you know that interfering with the estate of a deceased person can attract a jail time? We'll be discussing that and just giving you what you need to really know concerning this conversation. Taking a short break, we'll be right back.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni Ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of
Loyana, hamko sawa, you know.
the minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave, wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy who is Clinton and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness, to let other people know that there is such a condition, and people that has it is not that they are witches.
Together, let's go beyond the limit every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Welcome to The Realtor, where we take you on an exciting journey from bare land to dream home. Step 1. Finding the perfect plot. We explore location, size, and potential. Next, construction begins. Witness the foundation being laid, walls rising, and rooms taking shape. Step 3. Electricity matters. We delve into wiring, switches, and smart home tech. Step 4. From paint choices to fixtures, it's all about aesthetics. Step 5. It's time to get the right furniture. Finally, the big day. Time to move in and create memories. Join us on the journey to making homes a reality on The Realtor, Tuesdays 6:30.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
What point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV47. Time for the State of the Nation. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. The front page of the Standard this morning has a very interesting headline on what is happening in government. Misadvised, that's a question. Blame it on Ruto, AG says. We'll be looking at this and a lot more. Of course, the biggest conversation has to do with Raila's backtracking. Again, on the Standard, they're saying this is a series of missteps. On the front page of the Daily Nation, they make reference to the same story, Raila's handshake dilemma as Kalonzo walks away. This is the biggest discussion on all other dailies this morning. On the front page of Taifa Leo, Raila aogopa salamu za Gen Z. And on the Star, backlash forces Raila out of state dialogue. On the People Daily, it's a similar headline, Raila eats humble pie. But before we get to that, allow me to introduce my panelists this morning. Beginning on my immediate right, Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Shinga Ward, all the way from Nyeri County, is also the chairperson, UDA MCA Caucus, and a member of the UDA NAC. Yes, Karibu Sara.
Asante. Good morning, viewers.
Yes, also joining us is Njeri Kahiga, National Youth Leader, PNU. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
We're hoping Robert Alai will be joining us. He's coming from just here in Kileleshwa, but for some reason he's not made it to studio. He also has very strong views about what is going on. If you follow his page on X, probably a reason why he may be apprehensive about making an appearance here, but let's hope he will. Let's start with this headline on the front page of the Standard. And this is very worrying. We've been talking about the cracks and divisions within the government at a time when there's a crisis. We're seeing on one hand the presidency itself has tension between the president and his deputy. Then now we're seeing this kind of statement from the Attorney General. And I don't know if I'm the only one, but it would appear that the president is a bit isolated. If his deputy is not with him, if the Attorney General says some of the things he says are not coming from me, should we be concerned about what's happening?
You know, friend, with all due respect, the government is not composed of 3 officials, such that it's only the president, the deputy, and the AG. The government has ministers, a lot of them. I don't know where they are not being quoted. We have over 20 ministers. And I don't know, you know, we have this propensity in this country. For example, you may just hear the AG today holding a press conference and saying he never uttered such words. But in case they are true, I'm 100% sure.
You're doubting the headline on that?
Of course,
okay.
Because you know we have had various headlines in the past, only for people to come out and say they were misquoted. But in case, so it's upon the AG, I'm sure he will come out and say whether this is what he said, whether he didn't say it. If he said it,
if at all it's true, should it be a cause for concern?
It should not be. You know, in politics, that's just one person. And we have the captain, he will steal the ship. But what I can say is this, Fred. Before the 2005 referendum, I know my younger sister here was quite young then. We had, before that, we had all manner of pronunciations from inside the government. We had the government of national unity. No, we had the government of NAC. And people had run riot. Ministers were opposing the president left, right, center. Mm-hmm. When the referendum was over, the president cracked the whip. He dissolved President Kibaki, dissolved the cabinet. And that is when he formed the government of national unity. So, yes, he did. Okay. He did. Mzee Kibaki did it.
I see you've already jumped the horse, but it's okay. You've jumped the gun, but it's okay. I can see where you're heading.
Yeah, because you know, politics is an evolving game. And you know, the late Mzee Mishuki said politics is like liver. You
seem
keep
to be
juggling.
You seem to be suggesting that with the kind of cracks we are seeing, especially within cabinet, because both the deputy president and the attorney general are members of the cabinet, that probably with this kind of talk, it should lead to a dissolution of the cabinet. That's what you're saying.
I'm not trying to say that. What I'm saying is, you know, the president has, you know, here we are just giving our opinion, but we are analyzing and discussing.
Yeah, it's just the analysis I'm asking.
The cards that are at the president's disposal.
Yeah.
And we are using the past to discuss the current and the future, the possibilities. They don't have to happen. You know, it's the way we say, we discuss things on hypothetical basis. They may happen according to the past, they may not, but it's a good analytical point of view.
Okay. And Jerry, Kiruga Dhuku here may not tell it to us directly.
I've always told you.
The cracks are very visible
But I think
within President William Ruto's cabinet. Surely, this should be a cause for concern for anyone. It is a time of crisis. If the president is not listening to his principal legal advisor...
No, you cannot say that.
This is his principal legal advisor.
Yes. Yeah, but you can also not say that.
We are simply making reference to the headline as it is on the front page of the Standard. We cannot say it is false until someone declares it to be false.
You see, I've always told you, Kenya Kwanza supporters are very difficult to deal with. Kiruga will never tell you a yes or no. He was only supposed to tell you, yes, there is a problem, no, there is no problem. And we go back to the abductions that have been happening in this country. I think the first, or among the first 10 abductions that were done, you remember as we discussed like some 2 weeks ago about the abduction of the son of the AG. And you can clearly tell that there is a serious drift, because I don't understand why any DCI or any security apparatus would be used to abduct the son of the AG if at all they were in good books with the president. And you see, we have to understand that some of these seats are very political, and we understand how Justin Muturi became an AG, despite the fact that he's very qualified and he had all the qualifications. We also know there are so many people who are qualified but did not meet the political heavyweight of being in such a position. And we have to appreciate the fact that we have some few sober people in government. I rank the AG as one of them, because if you read the headlines, it says he feels that the military deployment, the police brutality, and the public debt audit committee that was formed is illegal. And I understand he's coming from a perspective of law. You cannot, I don't think there is any new clause in the Constitution that you're supposed to be teaching somebody like Justin Muturi. He has been there for a long time. He understands if we are to do things by the rule of law, whatever he's saying is very correct, 100%. But because we know our president is somebody who does not like listening to advices, as we have always heard from very many people, because the moment we've seen people like member for Gedongori, somebody like Wamushomba, raise very serious concerns that were really sitting well with the public, but never sat well with the Kenya Kwanza government. We had her talk about how she was sidelined. So I think the AG is still going to suffer the same consequences like the likes of Wamushomba. And it's very unfortunate that we've made this nation a nation of politics more than a nation of a rule of law.
For clarity, I just want, there are three things quoted here. That's on the military deployment, the police brutality, and public debt audit. He has not said the military deployment was illegal. He just said that it was done without his input.
Yeah, and you see, that is where the problem is. When we talk of the military deployment in the streets, did it happen? No, it didn't.
You
didn't. You saw it.
It is a fact.
But you see,
it is a fact.
The parliament even sat
by the
down.
National Assembly.
Military deployment was done. You never saw the military dealing with riots anywhere. The military was, and I told you here last time, the military was deployed to guard key government facilities.
And that's all we're talking about, the fact that they
were deployed.
No, but here it says,
no.
No, look, just read there. That the implication is that the military was...
No. That is on the police. The second point is police brutality, not the military.
Yeah, but
military, the issue is just about the deployment of military in a civilian situation.
You know, Fred, let's not pretend. When we have the nation's parliament desecrated, fence brought down. That is a very serious attack on the sovereignty of a nation.
And that is not in contention.
Yes, so if there was approval by Parliament.
Yes.
And that is the law. There is, I don't know, now you should be telling us, was it mandatory?
Initially, there were concerns on the legality of the deployment of the military, even before the National Assembly ratified the same.
Yeah, but
so the question is, the point of contention here is the involvement of the AG in some of these major legal decisions. And that's all we're saying. We're not talking about the legality of the deployment itself.
See,
it's the consultation with the Attorney General.
The government is very wide, friend. And there is intelligence. The government has a lot of intelligence on very many issues. I'm not here to defend or blame the AG on anything. But Fred, even here, when you are doing your work here, if the bosses here realize we share information with you, then it's not going well. They might sidestep you
Those are
in some of the decisions. Yes.
And that's exactly what we're talking about. The fact that there appears to be a lot of mistrust between the president and some of his very closest advisors. We saw even the deputy president, speaking from Mombasa, saying that the president was not receiving the proper advice he should be receiving, even in as far as intelligence that you now quoted.
Yeah, but you see now that was another problem. I was telling you, it is very wrong and it is not proper that we have access to the president. And with me, even in NEC, this has been my stand. It gave all the government officials who have access to the president, we see them with the president in cabinet meetings. If you have reservations, if you have issues, on the spirit of collective responsibility, you handle them with the president in those meetings. When you come out and you start addressing the president through the press, you start addressing the president through the newspapers, it cuts.
And now you're getting the gist of our questioning. The fact that this is actually happening at a time when the country is in crisis, that in itself is an issue for concern for you.
And it begs the question, is there internal sabotage? Yes, that's a question.
Could there be internal sabotage?
I have always told you one thing, Fred. Kiroga will never admit that there's a problem in Kenya Kwanza. But I'll tell you this from a perspective of Wanjiko as a Kenyan and a patriotic Kenyan. There is a serious problem in cabinet because the moment, or within 1 week ago, it was a problem between the president and the deputy president, and we were seeing the president giving a presser in Nairobi with members of parliament behind him. We see the deputy president in Mombasa giving a presser, and now we are seeing the AG and him raising concerns about I'm not being consulted about some of these issues, which is very serious because it leaves a very big gap of wondering, do we have a president who wants to advise himself, give himself advice when you have people who are put there by the constitution to give you the legal advice? Because we all understand that the president is not from a legal background kind of career, so he needs to listen to those who have experience in legal expertise. And also, again, it brings the question of, is it why we even seen breach of protocol within government events, where we find that a member of parliament is going to invite the former prime minister and tell him, after you are done, invite the president, and he brings the president on board, and the president has to again call the deputy president. You see, some of these disregard of the constitutional offices is what brings a lot of disrespect and what brings a lot of mockery to we as Kenyans. Because if we respect you as the president, we expect you to respect the office of the AG, the office of the deputy president, and your supporters and members of parliament and anybody who rallies behind the president, because it is supposed to be so, should also remember that a president is there because the constitution has allowed him to be there. So it's not as if he has the monopoly of us respecting his office and him disrespecting any other office. Yes. And his supporters and members of parliament on his side doing the same. So if at all the question of the AG was military deployment, we remember very well when military deployment was done in town, it was around in the evening. Then the next day we saw the National Assembly sitting down and backdating military deployment. We cannot be backdating such serious issues in this country. You can't deploy military today in the evening, then go to parliament tomorrow to table a motion of deploying when you already did it yesterday illegally. And now you want to substantiate that, oh, I have taken it to the National Assembly. That was wrong. On the police brutality, he is speaking out because apart from the fact that his son is also a victim of police abduction and being held incommunicado for long hours, he has seen us as the young people, as the Gen Z, come out in public and say, so-and-so who was leading demonstration has been found somewhere dropped. Another one has been found somewhere after 2 days of us not knowing where he was, and they are beaten. Some of them have wounds. They have to go to hospital. We've seen brutality of police where we see police resort to live ammunition. So at the end of the day, he's not speaking from an ignorant point of concern. He's speaking from what he can see, and from the experience he has in law, he understands that some of these things will cost this nation dearly.
Okay. You know, Fred, there was a time I heard the deputy president say, people are getting to the media, getting very excited. And they say things that they ought not to say. You know, my younger sister here cannot come here and purport to say the president doesn't listen to advice. She should be asking us. We interact with the president. And I can tell you, if someone as junior in the party as myself, because I'm a junior party official, and the president can listen to my advice out of experience, not stories, the president listens. But let me say this, Fred. In this government, and in all governments, even in President Uhuru's government, even in President Kibaki's government, all over the world, in all the democracies, the vision carrier of any government is His Excellency the President or the Prime Minister, where they have that system. That's the vision carrier. And just like the current president used to say when he was deputizing President Uhuru Kenyatta, he used to say, I can offer my advice to the president, but it's upon the president because he's the vision carrier. We campaigned on the president's manifesto, on the president's vision. And all these officials, nobody was forced.
Do you agree with the fact or the analysis that the president is suffering from a shortage of friends now?
No.
That all these people appear to be talking differently from what the president is saying?
No, there is nothing like that. In fact, that can only be a creation of imaginative mind, because how do you say the president is short of friends? The president have very many friends. But you see again, you know your little friends in times of crisis. You see, with me, for example, I identify myself with this government because I identify myself with the good policies of this government. Maybe if there are some policies which Kenyans feel are not ready to them, we can always adjust. It has always been the case. You saw even screaming headlines during President Kibaki's earlier days. They were saying, NAC losing it, such headlines. But what I can tell you is that from where I start with the president, I start with this government. If there are those things, and that's why you have always heard me say, the best way to take a country forward is for the citizenry and its leadership to engage in constructive dialogue, whereby people get a chance to say, here, we don't want things to go like this. Here, we don't want things to go like this. And to his credit, His Excellency the President essentially said, I've heard you Kenyans. This finance bill, even if it has been passed, it's being removed. Yeah. And you have seen, since it was removed, there are certain adjustments that we have to go through, because even you admitted recently, not everything was bad. But because Kenyans said, we don't want this. Now, whether it was good or bad, we have to adjust to what Kenyans wanted. And you know that is a very rare thing in leadership.
Okay.
Many people would have wanted to force it through, but not President Ruto. President Ruto is someone who listens to his subjects. So,
okay. We're just reading the headlines.
Yeah,
we're not creating
credit,
any piece of
let's
news
give
here.
credit where it is due.
On the front page of the Standard, the question is misadvised, blame it on Ruto, and that is the Attorney General, Justin Muturi, saying. We had something similar from the Deputy President, that probably the President's advisors are not giving him the correct information. But we'll continue with this conversation. Time now for a break. You're watching Morning Cafe. When we come back, Robert Alai, MCA Kileleshwa, will be joining the panel to tell us exactly what his feelings are about some of these headlines.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
What point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave. Wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Back, you're still watching Morning Cafe on TV47 with me, Fred Indemuli. I'm still in studio with Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Shinga, Njeri Kahiga, National Youth Leader, PNU, and Robert Alai, MCA Kileleshwa, now joins us.
Thank you.
Karibu Alai, and you've been a busy man online, on X especially. I'm looking at your Twitter page, X page. You have about 2.1 million followers, so everyone is seeing your tweets. A lot has been happening, and even before we get to what you've been talking about, the Gen Zs and the possible dialogue, there's a very interesting headline that we've been looking at with Kiruga and Njeri on the front page of the Standard. This is a direct quote from the Attorney General. The deployment of the military to the streets was done without the advice of the Attorney General. I also cannot advise the police to go and shoot innocent kids in the streets. Justin Muturi. At a time when the country is clearly in a crisis. We're seeing people who should be very close to the president now speaking as if they are not with him. And I asked Kiruga Dhuku if that should be a cause for concern for Kenyans, and he says no. We've also had the Deputy President speaking in a similar manner, saying the president is not receiving the kind of advice he should be. Don't you think that this is a cause for worry, now seeing two key members of the president's cabinet speaking like this?
Thank you, Fred. Fred and the TV47 family. Asante sana, thank you for having me today. I've been a little bit late because you've been trying to see ways of saving the Kenya Kwanza from themselves. Having said that...
Are you saving us from?
From yourselves. Having said that, you can see from the AG's communication, what I can draw from here is that it is not surprising. And that's why you have to come in to save them. because a lot of things have been going wrong in this government, you know, from the whole cabinet. Even Muturi himself, for a start, he should not be there. His performance as a speaker was very wanting. I don't think that he should have been the best AG there. So, but the situation which happened, which brought the deployment of the military, I think was surprising to even the highest of the most powerful individuals in the land, including the president. I think everybody panicked. And in such a situation, either they spoke only to the defense CS and the intelligence and the other military officials, the other security officials, but ignored the AG. And remember that the defense CS is also a former majority leader in parliament. So probably, having been a ranking member of the lawmaking body, probably
he was a majority leader under this speaker.
He gave the legal advice. You know, a majority leader is somebody who is very much aware of almost every law in our statute.
Yet there were questions around the legality of that deployment.
Yes.
Surely that's the best time to consult your chief legal advisor.
Yes, I agree with you that he should have consulted the AG, should have at least even brought his whole cabinet together, told them, even apart from the Security Council, even an urgent cabinet meeting, because the parliamentary approval was sought after. The cabinet didn't sit and allow this. I think that there's no differences in the cabinet apart from the said differences with the deputy president. I think the cabinet is almost intact. So I don't know the reason why the president is seeking advice elsewhere.
This is the second-ranking member of President Ruto's cabinet who's speaking like this after the deputy president.
Yeah.
You're saying the cabinet is still intact?
Maybe it's not. We have not heard it well, but but what surprised me is the abduction of the son, because if you are going to arrest, if you are serving with the friends in the cabinet, I don't think that such a thing should happen to the son of the person you're serving in the cabinet. Your cabinet, at least you should know that there's something wrong with the family member, which needs them to be picked up. It doesn't happen anywhere.
Okay. And now to my question, do you think the president is suffering from a shortage of friends now that you're even saying you're coming in to save Kenya Kwanza itself?
Yeah, and this is why we have said that the whole of Kenya Kwanza don't have good friends. They don't have good advisors. And also they're not humble. They also don't understand what having a country entails. You know, what leading a country entails. They think that as long as you're the ruling party, you can do everything you want. You can see from their whole actions, even just how they carry themselves, buying expensive suits, walking now.
An expensive blazer yourself.
I think that Kenya Kwanza, power got into their heads, and they didn't understand what a country should have. So we need to save them from themselves. We need to humble them. We need to tell them that, this is a country you're leading. You're not leading some private enterprise. You need to carry yourself in a manner which is going to be, respect the stage of the company, the offices you hold. And so, for the first time, I think we have to agree with Kiruga that the team needs to change. And we also, even people like Kiruga, I think need to get out of where they are, the neck, and we bring in new neck members.
You know my brother here. At times he's not a good person. I have done nothing wrong in neck. In fact, if anything, he knows I've been carrying the voice of the MC, including himself, to the seat of government. But what I would like to say, I've said here just before my brother Robert came, we have a listening president. For example,
he's not listening to his AG.
No, you cannot. You don't know what is happening in government. You cannot say that.
Well, the AG himself has said.
No, fine. He may be giving substandard advice. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, it's just an example. The president have the capacity to know the people who are advising him well or not. And, the thing is, I don't want to, I disagree fully with what my brother Robert here is saying. The government and the vision of the president towards the country was very, very clear. And it remains so. So, if there might be a few, misadventures here and there. The president came out recently. He told any government officials going to Arabis.
And now moving to this main discussion, do you think it was the vision of the president that at some point he would have to get into a government of national unity for him to continue governing as president and to ensure that his manifesto is implemented?
I've just told you here, when NAC, under President Kibaki, won elections, there is no president who wants to form a government and change it midway. Circumstances and response to the various happenings are the ones, because if you come from this place, you want to go to Mombasa, then at some point you realize the vehicle have deviated to Machakos. You realize the vehicle has deviated to Taita Taveta. You will have a way of getting back to the route where you wanted. It's in the Constitution that the president has the prerogative of bringing together a team to help him attain the vision.
So you agree with that discussion around forming a government of national unity going forward?
There would be no problem. I've given you the example of President Kibaki. He formed the NAC government, but at some point, when he was pushing to have a new constitution, members of his own cabinet came out to oppose him. So when the motion was defeated, the president dissolved the cabinet.
He was forced into a corner into that agreement.
Whatever you want.
Are you saying the situation right now has forced William Ruto into a corner?
No.
He has to opt for government?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I'm just giving an example. When President Kibaki reconstituted his cabinet, one of the main person, or the most notable person to get into his government was his former opponent, Mzee Simeon Nyeshai. So, again, if we have similar circumstances, if the president have noticed where there are issues, the president want have said he have listened to the GIZs, he have listened to the country, and you see he have already said about 47 parastatals will be either joined because there are austerity measures to be undertaken. So I don't want to speak for the president, but whatever you are asking is that it's the prerogative of the president. If he wants to bring in his Honorable Raila Odinga and his people, it is his prerogative. If that is the way he thinks Kenyans will best be served, he's right. And remember, the president has consistently said he is not a president of just those who elected him. He is not a president for a section of Kenyans. He is the president of every single Kenyan, and that is why he have insisted even resources have to go to all parts of this country, whether he was elected there or not.
Okay. Jerry, this week, especially after that event at the KICC, which was mainly intended to sign into law the IEBC bill, everything changed, and the discussion changed into one, issues around dialogue. Secondly, the possibility of a government of national unity. And these are methods probably or options for the president right now. From where you sit, are any of these feasible? Dialogue. Secondly, forming a government of national unity.
First of all, I would like to say that me as a woman in politics, it gave me a very bad picture, because I tried looking for a woman in that photo and I realized in Kenya we still have a long way to go with the 2/3 gender rule. I did not realize that we are still struggling to have representation even in such serious matters.
No,
because
they were there,
in a whole...
Fred don't allow those things to go through. The women were there,
I'm talking about the photo that, they were behind the scenes.
No, they didn't get inside to the photo outside, but the women were there.
I was discussing the photo.
No,
you see,
the photo
we have to agree that at some point, the president has come to a point and he has realized things are falling apart. And I don't know, I've seen people on social media try to say that he's now seeking to bring in the opposition and hoping that this is going to save him. And he has forgotten that opposition did not even do 1% of mobilizing the young people to the streets. The young people mobilized themselves. The young people made arrangements on their own, apart from the goons who came in later on. And he needs to understand, calling Raila to the table and few other party leaders in this nation who have been against him and his regime, how they run affairs, is not going to save this nation. Because at the end of the day, the young person right now is looking at it. Me, I've always said I'm an Azimio person, and my party is PNU led by Peter Munya. But it comes to a time when we look at it like it's a regrouping of a few people who have been there for a long time, and they have realized if we let these young people continue like this, it's all of us to lose. So what is going to happen? It's going to bring a further split of this nation, because we are going to see the political class that is feeling threatened come together, and the young people who have not been there politically, who have not been there in policy making, who have not been there in so many other activities in this nation, group together and say, you people are our problem.
The biggest criticism has been in the kind of tactics that they seek to employ, the use of dialogue. We've had this before so many times, handshake, so many times government of national unity. Do you think those old tactics will work for the kind of fresh kind of agitation that we're seeing now?
I would say that those kind of methods would work if this maandamano that happened was instigated by opposition leader Raila Amolo Odinga. But as long as he's not the one who took people to the streets, you cannot use the same old methods you've been using with him to heal this problem. Yes. This problem, the young people have been loud enough to say, we don't need dialogue for you to fire your cabinet. We don't need dialogue for you to let us know why so-and-so was abducted. We don't need dialogue for you to bring into accountability the lives that we've lost on the streets. We don't need you to sit down a whole committee. Remember, any dialogue committee that is formed in this nation involves a budget, involves time, involves the whole nation, everything being at standstill and waiting for the political temperatures from the dialogue to settle down. And it takes us back to where we were during the NADCO report. Where did we go after a whole whooping budget was spent there? Nowhere. Dialogue has not been one of the most effective methods to deal with crisis in this nation. Okay. So at this point, the president needs to understand that dialogue is not going to work. You have seen the president of LSK decline to join the audit committee that was formed. You've seen the likes of Justin Wamai refuse to. For the first time, people are refusing to join any committee formed by the president. He needs to get that as a signal of what is really happening. And
Bonalai, it would appear that, and people have said that ODM is behaving like a vulture.
Why?
You've seen that an arm is about to fall off. Yeah. You're quick to ride on that wave.
No.
I've seen some of your sentiments, especially on this. You're very much in support of this dialogue and the possibility of the formation of a government of national unity. And as the Gen Zs are saying, you were never part of this agitation. Yours is different. You are actually part of that dialogue that you're calling NADCO. Yeah. So why a new dialogue now that there's a fresh kind of agitation that you are not part of?
I think there's a very big misconception in the whole grouping of the so-called Gen Z, in that they think that you can demonstrate 2 or 3 days, then you get a deal. In the political environment we have now, all these processes you see and all these gains we have made in the country are a result of sweat, tears, broken bones and blood of real Kenyans, people who have died and paid with their lives. You cannot go to the street 1, 2, 3 days, then you see. They have not even had even an eighth of what we went through last year. Abductions, including of members of parliament, including of MCAs. People are killed, 75 of them. They are crying of 20-something, 41. They are saying now, we don't even know the figure now. We are so confused about it. And these people are real people we know. These are people close to us. And not only this time, but before. What you see the Raila was doing recently is a result of what happened last year. And there was a process where people went and sat down, came up with the 9 bills to diffuse that tension. Last year, this is not. We are not even talking. What
wasn't that enough to pacify the political temperatures then? Because the question people are asking is, with the maandamano that was there last year, including against the finance bill that was still signed into law.
Yes.
The solution was a NADCO. forum, of which the results are now being seen, with the first bill being signed into law.
Yes, yes.
So what intention does ODM have of going back to the table when you've just come from the table?
No, you see, ODM, having been pushed away from this state, they said you are not supposed to be involved. What Gen Z needs to remember is that this country must have structures. You must engage in a very structured manner.
True.
There's no way you're going to say that you have told the president through Twitter that he should fire so and so, so he fires. We have told him disband the cabinet. Nobody wants to sit down. They don't even trust themselves.
There's something I'm not getting clear, because even the SG of ODM party came out and said, Raila Odinga is not speaking for the Gen Zs.
No.
He's speaking for the people who follow him.
Yes.
He took the people who follow him to the NADCO forum.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Of which is now in its final stages.
Yes.
What is a concern of taking, what is the need or necessity of taking back the people who follow Raila Odinga back to a negotiating table?
We're not negotiating.
Isn't it the fresh agitation by the young generation that has caused this crisis, that has necessitated the need for dialogue?
First,
when you say you're distancing yourself from the Gen Z, but you still want to go back to the table to dialogue, there's a confusion there.
No, you know, we are stakeholders in this country.
Yes.
When we see something happens, we get involved. The weakest point, the weakness of this team called Gen Z is that they don't want to dialogue. They don't want to engage. They don't want to sit down and tell. They don't even want to say, come, let our tutano, explain yourselves. But that's how our country is made. You know, every process we have in this country is a result of compromises, the give and takes. You have the sit down. If employees of this organization today were to rise up and say that we have a problem with the management, you'll be asked, what problem? Maybe what you are seeing, we are not seeing. Can you tell us? Can you list evidence? So, okay, we want to address them. Can we have somebody, a contact, where if we address them, you'll be ticking the boxes and saying that this is what they are not allowing. What ODM is providing now is that there's noise in the country. There's noise. There's some hula-baloo. We are not negotiating anything. There's no handshake we are doing with the Gen Zs. What you are telling them is that dialogue.
Yes. But
the national dialogue.
Their concern is,
and kila mtu analipa bili yake.
Those old tactics have not necessarily been that successful. Last year, even with the maandamano and even agitation around reject the finance bill of 2023, it was still not successful.
Yes.
That became law very fast. This time round, the Gen Zs, without a leader, without a party, has managed to push the president towards rejecting an entire finance bill. It is unprecedented. They're saying that their methods have been working. You're here to introduce old methods that have not been working.
What do they consider achievement?
Well, ensuring that their voice was heard, at least to that extent of the rejection.
Well, the rejection of the finance bill. Who is going to pay? Because, you know, the president can remove the finance bill. Then they go and get the money through other means. What we need to do is sit down. Tell us, we are rejecting finance bill.
Yes.
What is going to replace the 340 billion you wanted to raise? Because don't consider that an achievement. It might be more dangerous than what we wanted.
True.
So you see, what my problem with Gen Z, I really want to support it, and I love them. And I have, you know, I participated. I sent 4 pickups full of water. I spent close to 200,000 supporting these people on the street. The moment they went to the gates of State House, I said no, this is now chaos. You know, we have tried to destroy some of the institutions in the continent, you know, in Sudan, in Somalia, in Congo, where I worked for 7 years. And you can see the rebuilding of institutions after destruction can take at least 30 years.
Yes.
It's very painful. But when you see, I worked in Congo, and I see the same is going to happen to Kenya, Nairobi, I said, when the parliamentary leadership offices were destroyed, some of the plenary, you know, some of the instruments of power destroyed. And now they went, for the first time in the street, I saw vehicles written PPU, Presidential Protection Unit. I didn't even know that such a unit existed. Presidential Protection Unit, military special forces racing towards State House. Because that's a part of it is my ward. And I said, this is not supposed to happen in Kenya. When officers barricaded State House 2 kilometers away, you could not even smell the harufu ya State House, ya chakula inatoka State House. You see, I said, kuna problem. And I used to talk to those GSU officers. They now know me, so I told them that, is this really necessary? I think tension imeisha bana. Simtoe tu hizi vitu.
And as you're speaking here, I can just see Keruga here chanting and agreeing in everything. Are you agreeing that this is a solution you need, that ODM has actually come to your salvation?
Not about coming to our salvation, but
you will not agree.
You know, my brother has talked a lot of sense in that, you know, just like the president said, fine, according to our rules, if you want to remove me, let's face one another in directions. That is the law of the land. That's the constitution.
But we can do it.
His Excellency, you cannot.
We can.
You
the law
can't.
provides for that.
That's a coup. And we have been saying, no, that's a coup. And let me tell you.
The president can
No,
be
relax. Can you relax? Wait, you will have your time to speak. You may not understand the pain of losing blood in a country. You are just excited because you think, as Alai is saying, people think it's a win. It might be a terrible loss. What I'm saying is this. I support Honorable Robert Alai 100% on the need for dialogue. His Excellency Raila Odinga, you know, a clear leader in this country. You know, and at times, you know, you may oppose His Excellency or the Honorable Raila Odinga, but at times you must commend him for rising to the occasion and doing the right thing at the right time. Is Honorable Raila...
You criticized the handshake he had with the former president Uhuru Kenyatta.
I've told you, politics is an evolving game. The circumstances then could be very different from now. You know, there were things that Jubilee was doing, and in fact they misused that handshake so much to press some sections of us. But what I'm saying is this, and my brother Robert Alai is very right. When you have demands, you should be ready to see it through and negotiate, because dialogue is always about give and take. And I told you here another day here, Fred, things are not black and white. That you stay here, you say, no, I cannot move an inch. That becomes a prison. There is a gray area where all shades of thoughts, people meet there in the gray area. You give and take. You give and take. And I'm telling you this. Look, the people who have refused to change or to move with change, they've been led to destruction. My brother Robert will agree. Look at Jonas Savimbi, the UNITA leader. That guy was in the independence struggle of Angola. He was a world acclaimed leader. But unknown to him, and I said this here another day here, Fred, you must know when to change tact. You must know when to exit the stage. You must keep evolving. Even trees and animals, if they don't evolve, they are destroyed.
Jerry,
so, Robert, allow me to finish this. When Savimbi refused to change and he wanted to fight and fight and fight and fight and fight, he would appear like he's making compromise, but he would continue fighting. It led to his death and the annihilation of UNITA. Thank you.
Okay. Jerry, do you see a situation where there's a section of the political class that is keen to retain and maintain status quo, and they're now coming together for that cause? And probably, is that where you disagree with them?
You see, the last time we were here, I remember a member for Chinga saying he's on the verge of buying our member from Kileleshwa, and I can
Not
see
buying him.
he's progressing well.
No,
but I need
welcoming
let
him to our party.
Yeah, I need to tell you people that you people can not, you see, if at all you resonate with Baba at this point, simply because you think he's going to save you, but you are the
Not
same people,
saving
Kenya
us,
Kwanza
he's
government,
speaking the right thing.
that had problems with the president when he said, you know what, I don't want this nation to go down. That is why I've brought my brother. And you had you had member of Kikuyu call Baba, our former Your Excellency. The moment such language comes into politics, and the member for Kikuyu is calling Baba Your Excellency, you know things are bad. And I can tell you for a fact, whether they regroup and think that Now, these Gen Zs, if we don't care, we don't take caution, we will all go home. So what we need to do...
Not just the ruling party.
Even the opposition.
The entire political
Yeah. And I can tell member for Kileleshwa, if they proceed with that kind of route, we will take them home, all of them. And that is where we told Baba, Agwambo, please stay aside. You taught us the way. Now it's our time to show you how we, the young generation, will do it. You have been one person who has done demonstrations in this nation for a very long time. Baba has at a point risked his life. We've seen his car being tear gassed, live ammunition. And this time you told him, Agwambo, kaa nyuma kidogo, let us show you a new method. And our method worked. They don't want to accept that. They're also in shock. You understand? But now they've realized, oh, now we need to come in and also understand that these temperatures are not good for either side, the opposition, the ruling party. And that is why you've seen Stephen Kalonzo having some reservations. He, in this Daily Nation, he says, we will tell Raila Odinga that Kenyans do not want dialogue. That is Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, who for the longest time people have always said he really does not, he has always had reservations about speaking some of these things out. And I want to tell member for Kileleshwa, please, you people cannot ignore this revolution. Yes. And we might not be perfect. We might not be perfect in whatever we do, because maybe we are not the kind of people who are looking at, we want to sit down in dialogue and get allowances and get some privileges in government. Remember, when you see member for Kikuyu, who you know has been calling Baba all sorts of names, stand there behind Baba in the last line, and Baba is there addressing this nation, you need to know that they have been told this is our only solution. And I am glad yesterday Baba on Twitter publicly said that I have heard the Gen Zs, and honestly, I'm not interested in handshake. For it to get to Baba tweeting such things, you need to know that the hit he felt from Kenyans. You know, I saw people sharing his number and the way people shared numbers for members of parliament. And people said, you cannot regroup with our oppressors. One, because the agitation this time is not about Azimio and Kenya Kwanza. It's about the young generation being honest enough to tell both sides that it's time that you stop using the same methods to kill a very different cat this time.
But Nala, it is obvious there's general fear among the political class that your positions are under threat. With this new, fresh kind of agitation from the younger generation. And do you agree with that assessment that yes, there is serious concern about the future of the current political class if this agitation continues the way it does?
Fred, I don't know if it is fear, but what I need, it is something new. And it's something beautiful, and we love it.
No, they don't love it.
We love it.
Has it made you uncomfortable?
No, it doesn't make me uncomfortable. In fact, from day one, I said this thing, and I even regret. What these people need is guidance, because you can even see where they are going to fall, and they're going to fall, and they're going to kill themselves. They are going to finish themselves off. When you see somebody call themselves Gen Zs, and Gen Zs, typically by definition, 1997 to 2012, born between that period. Then you go and hold a concert with no single Gen Z. Methuselahs, 40-year-olds. None of them. People who boomed in 90s, not even 2010s. You see, people who boomed then, no single Gen Z in that platform. You say that wewe ni Anifa, wewe ni Boniface Mwangi, unasema kwamba sisi ndio tunaenda kulead hii vitu, hatutaki kusikia Baba. Then you build a platform where you're saying Gen Zs are going to lead this, and now it's purely Gen Z. And you have 20 performers, no single one below 40-year-old. It's painful. I say these people are leading these kids to destruction. And they're going to destroy them, because these kids need guidance. They had a beautiful thing here, because I'm seeing a lot of potential. When you saw some of them being hosted by the TV stations like yourself, and you say that, you call them that, hey, that's a university leader. Hey, by the way, I need such a person to mentor. Because when I leave this seat, you need somebody. If there's one person who has been going to the streets, to platforms and asking the middle class to get involved in politics, is me. And for the first time, it was very beautiful for me to see a mother with 3 kids, from the group of schools, group of schools mothers, you know, because we have been using kids from the slums. They have been giving direction to the Nairobi politics, to the Kenyan politics, the kids from the poor households. These kids from the rich families and the middle, the working class families have not been participating in the political processes in this country. And for the first time I said, this is beautiful awareness. In my own household, I have 2 engineers at the UN and one at KU. And these guys were saying that they are going to participate. They made placards to go and distribute. They got some messages. I was distributing water. I said, this is a beautiful thing. When I saw the same old Boniface Mwangi alikuwa time ya Kibaki, alikuwa time ya Uhuru Kenyatta. This is a commercial enterprise for him and others, very many of them. And I see these kids are following blindly. When you go to Ford Foundation on website, they are listing that in the month of May, aliwapatia 230 million. How can you build a platform in Uhuru Park? In few hours, you have built a platform, which we know, for some of us who have done events, it costs to 10 million and above.
Yes.
In just hours.
Fundraising. Does that leave you a bit uncomfortable? That probably that kind of speed and agility that this new team, I'm not just saying Gen Zs, even millennials are included in it, that kind of agility is not present in the current political class. Are you concerned?
The agility is not present, yes. But because we have been trying to involve the people so much. You remember even when we have been cornered for us in the ODM, sometimes we go to the people even to fundraise, even pay bills. And Kiruga Thugu always insults. Even we go and beg for this money. The problem is that the people, the key supporters for us in the cities and in the whole country have been people who are poor, people who depend on bursaries, on roads, people who are just trying to get by. You're just saying that I'm going to elect so and so, because saa zile nitagonga mlango yake atanisaidia na basari ya 3,000, ya 5,000, ya 10,000. You see, my kids will go to school, that one. So we have been depending on the people who are very poor. But since I got into this office, I said that the missing link here, because a ward like Kilimani doesn't have a slum. But you see, you have voters from Shauri Moi coming and deciding who gets elected in Kilimani. I said, but see, kuna shida hapa. Why do you have such an arrangement? When I saw an agility we are talking about, where you see Amnesty International, you see Kenya Human Rights Commission, you see the Defenders Coalition, you see Boniface Mwangi with the Enterprise Yak, African Censored Limited. These guys receive a lot of money. This money, none of them want to be accountable. The moment you ask for accountability from the leaders who are calling themselves leaders of Gen Zs, and they are close to 50 years, these guys are close to retirement age, all of them.
But if you keep dismissing them, how then will you invite them for dialogue?
We are not dismissing them. Today, Robert Tarai, my brother here, is speaking like a bishop. Because he's speaking. He's speaking.
You really needed this kind of friendship.
They are very happy about it.
We can always define opinion, but he's talking a lot of sense. Because we support Gen Zs 100%, especially the initial ideas they had. But look, like my brother says, it has been hijacked. And that is exactly what the president said. The criminal elements infiltrated good intentions of our young people, right? And now they have caused all mayhem. Look, like my brother says, I don't need to overemphasize the point. People, they are saying now we are going for a concert of Gen Zs, but not a single Gen Z speaks. We see Boniface Mwangi, we see Omtata, we see those other characters who are our age mates. But anyway, we might even be more Gen Zs in spirit.
They might be your age mates, but they resonate with us.
They don't. What we are saying is this, Fred. Nobody is permanent in this world. Robert, my brother here, will tell you, we are not afraid of losing our seats. We also want them from people. What we are against, because eventually, even if you become a leader for 50 years, even Mzee Kibaki came, he was our MP for 40 years, but he still exited. So we will also exit. What we are telling the Gen Zs, fine, you have a point, beautiful point. We ourselves, with me, I have been a member of Muungano wa Mageuzi. I've gone to streets with Governor James Orengo. I've gone to the streets with Honorable Muhisa Kitui and others, Mheshimiwa Kadhangu. So what they are doing, we've been there too. But all we are pleading for, don't allow to be misused to bring down this country, because if this country goes down, to rebuild it will be such a tough time. Look, this week, with me, like my brother here, you know, with me, I'm in the rural constituency. This week, and where we are emphasizing on the need of structures, I'm the chairperson of implementation in my assembly. We had invited our executive. The county secretary came with the CECs and all the chief officers because they are implementers. We were asking them, how do you implement programs that are beneficial to the people? What do you want to do about unemployment in our county? Is there a kitty that can spark growth so that we are able to absorb our youth? So the Gen Zs should know, you know, we care for them, we support them, but as my brother says, and I support him 100%, we gonna follow the structural route.
There was definitely some excitement among the political class when Raila Odinga came out and said there was going to be dialogue, and the president indicated a possibility of formation of something of unity, now what people are calling government of national unity. But looking at some tweets by Raila Odinga yesterday, 16 hours ago, he says, nimeambiwa na hawa viongozi kwamba mmesema hamtaki handshake, ujumbe umefika. Earlier he had said, I agree with my brother, Musyoka's Azimio, we wanted the matter of cost of living discussed. I think, yes, disagreeing probably with, or rather backtracking, which has been captured on some of the dailies. Raila backtracks again in a series of missteps on the standard. Raila handshake dilemmas, Kalonzo walks away. Raila aogopa salamu za Gen Z. Definitely the power of this younger generation cannot be ignored. Listening to the political class who are well represented on the table here, do you think this kind of confidence that they are trying to exude is going to move you in any way?
You see, member for Kileleshwa is looking at me in a manner likely to suggest that he's really hoping I don't really say the real part that every other Kenyan is saying it behind the scenes, but I'm going to say it here.
Just say it.
You see, it gets to a point that people are tired. People are tired of dialogues. And he has said it very clearly, and I was, in my heart I was saying, now this is what we wanted to hear. He has said that for the longest time that they used to really hope that the middle class can come and join in the political activities of this nation. And right now, we the Gen Z have been able to bring onto the street. You even saw the sister to former US President Obama on the streets.
That's not Gen Z, that's Mexican.
Listen, she's a
She's older than Kenyan.
She's a Kenyan. She's a Kenyan.
She's older than us.
You know, your friendship has started looking
It is
like
very rare. It is very rare that they agree on each and every point.
He's been always my friend.
That is the route that
opinion.
opposition and Kenya Kwanza government is heading to. If you can see Alai and Keroga now starting to say, you know, my brother here, and on other days, they are usually like, oh. You can imagine now, we are going to be listening to Kimani Ichung'wah, member for Kikuyu, telling us that, you know, Baba has really fought for this nation. It's going to be a good moment up and mbele.
But he has.
And I'm telling you.
The tweets are there.
And
on X, all the posts are praising Raila Odinga, and they're coming from Kenya Kwanza members.
Exactly. And let me tell you one thing, and I can tell you this for a fact. The same way we sent greetings to Kenya Kwanza members, tutawasalimia. And we will not be apologetic about it. I am Azimio, I'm an Azimio supporter, and I voted for Baba for the first time, and I love him. But I can tell you for a fact, if they board the Kenya Kwanza ship, we are going to treat them as one item. And we, the Gen Z, are going to look ourselves like people who have nobody to fight for us. It's us on our own and them on their own. They have realized that, if these people continue like this, they'll push these people outside. And as they push them outside, we also exit.
They will also be outside.
Yeah, because people like me will take over from members of opposition for a long time, like Robert Alai, and he feels like now, I better join Keroga and we sustain ourselves and we edge the Gen Zs out. And I can tell you for a fact, listen, don't bully me, don't bully me, Keroga. What is going to happen is, I can tell you for a fact, in Mashinani, the way we saw people yesterday and members of parliament and people saying that now the president has started talking to his supporters and telling them now, you please need to understand that Raila is here to stay. And me, I'll keep referencing. If you see member for Kikuyu, Kimani Ichung'wah, call Raila Amolo his ex. And not, you know, for a long time they have always said that, they use Mogoroki, the very big name that they use with Baba. And now suddenly, Baba is also saying, me and my brother, His Excellency the President. You know, Baba for a long time, we used to go to Mandamano and he used to say, he's not my president. Yesterday, they were there saying, my brother, His Excellency the President.
Brothers.
And I want to tell people, please, we, at this point as Azimio, some of us had our reservations about the deputy president, but we are seeing how it's playing out. And if things go as it is going, you might be shocked to find that as the political temperatures continue like this, we are going to crucify the Azimio members together with Kina Kimani.
And it's true. It's coming out as a sort of unholy union, what is happening between Azimio, especially ODM, and Kenya Kwanza. Yesterday we saw some statements from your party officials. One, this SG. Secondly, the chairman wrote a very long statement, which is very rare. John Badi rarely speaks from a party perspective. It's usually the SG, Edwin Sifuna. Then moments later, or an hour or so later, the party leader tweets something that appears to be off. There appears to be a lot of confusion as well.
There's no confusion.
In this kind of communication. Salamu zilifika za Gen Z.
No, I think confusion is from the people who are trying to interpret what really happened. I think a good number of them don't even understand.
Including
the biggest beneficiary of this, what happened that day, is Kalonzo. They are saying that Kalonzo is. Wanasema Kalonzo aruka. I saw
he said he does not want dialogue.
You see, when Kalonzo says,
it's there.
I will not join hands with Ruto.
Yes.
Kalonzo says, he's lying. He's being deceitful. Because the NADCO process created an office called the opposition leader.
Yes.
The opposition leader's office is going to be occupied by Kalonzo.
Yes.
The opposition leader's role is to oppose. And he has started, he's working already. He's going to earn perks. So, people are smart. So Kalonzo should not tell you that unajua yeye hataki kuingia. Hii ndio kazi alikuwa anatafutiwa na amepata. Raila has not asked for any position. So he should not blame us and say that kuna kitu tunaenda kupata hapa while he already has a job and a very clear job.
You want to say if at all there's a government of national unity, there would be no position for the former prime minister in the same?
Yeah,
there's no position, which is there's no. We have not even agreed on the government of national unity.
Exactly,
we have not even agreed.
It's a song that you mentioned. You talked about the possibility of a government of national unity.
That's a possibility.
Yesterday, MPs in Rift Valley said the same. They were pushing for that. They can't talk like that if at all this has not been agreed on.
But listen, they say that they want that to happen. It has not happened. What was being signed and what was being pushed for is already starting to be implemented. Yes. The role of the opposition leader, the occupier, is already speaking. He's already taking up the role. He's already going to earn some perks. He's saying that he doesn't agree with Raila. Hiyo ndio kazi yake, not to agree.
So
if there's anybody who is going to be deceitful,
Fred, to the president's credit, and I no longer mind very much if called the president's mouthpiece. I don't mind as long as I'm stating the truth. From the word go, the president told our coalitions had drained us. We are in government and we are not here to segregate any part or any leader. Elections are behind us. We have to unite the country. When the Honorable Raila Odinga, and there was no crisis then, expressed interest in the UAU position, the president came out strongly, even appointed the foreign affairs minister, the prime cabinet secretary, the Musalia Mudavadi, to lead the nation's campaign for Honorable Raila Odinga to become the AU chair. And the government has not backtracked on that. But some people in the government, maybe they were not happy. Maybe that's why they have been trying to sabotage the president from within. But look, it has worked so well. And that is why we are saying, and I've given you the example of President Kibaki, that when this nation needed to rally together, he brought in one of his opponents Mzee Simeon Nyachae, and he was made a minister. So these things happen, and we have been saying this, and that is where I'm joined in the hip with my brother Robert, that this...
You're using very interesting words.
Yeah. No, it's a fact.
My question is now going forward, will the dialogue happen starting Monday as the former Prime Minister indicated?
The issue is this, the dialogue will not even start on Monday.
Okay.
The president and the government, you know, when the analytical report...
Remember, the dialogue has started.
Yes, it has been there. When the analytical report came out of what? It came out of dialogue.
And it's a multi-sectoral forum that you're talking about.
Yeah, listen, Fred, you know, and this is what Gen Z needs to know. They can triple their win if they follow the advice my brother Robert here is giving.
We are not
engage. Relax. You are not.
You really want them to board this?
We are not.
Let them not board. In fact, they can even, whichever way they want to stay, as long as they are peaceful, as long as they engage, we will support them. But look, in Odaya, and you know these things, you know they get you very concerned. In Odaya, there were a few of these demonstrations, you know, here and there are some youths there. Now, they lit bonfires on the roads. Now, if you go to the 3 or 4 places where they lit bonfires, the tarmac is destroyed. Now, I was asking, surely, we destroy our roads, austerity measures are setting in, we will be punishing innocent wananchi. So, when the Gen Zs came, they said, it's a phone, I don't know, a handkerchief, I don't know what. You resonate with them, you see, good, these are our children. They are doing fine. But now when the criminal elements infiltrate a good idea from the Gen Zs, we start destroying our roads, we start looting shops, we start doing, then people are looting, we are accusing police of brutality.
And before I come to you, Njeri, when I lie, don't you think that there's a risk that this push, and I can see the excitement among the politicians especially around the former Prime Minister, that you're pushing the gentleman into a position where his own credibility, his own popularity is beginning to get questioned, that you now see the kind of tweets he's making. They're being described as missteps, backtracking, backlash forcing Raila out of state dialogue. Surely, aren't you pushing the gentleman into a corner that he was not interested in that kind of push? It is the politicians around him.
I think what is happening is that we have a group of Kenyans who are trying to hold Raila hostage to history. He becomes the hostage of what he has done before, and they don't want him to change and adapt with the times as they are now. The credibility of Raila Odinga cannot be, destroyed by a single protest by people who don't have structures and don't have a head or a tail, an hydra in that. The credibility of Raila is not going to be destroyed by a bunch of young people who are not willing to listen to elderly advice and sit down and operate in a manner that is going to make them gain even more. I don't think that Raila needs even to be worried about these lots if they're going to. Raila is, to the next election, Raila will be in his 80s. You cannot say that he's going to lose the credibility of being one of the, for the second liberation, being a very key, key instrument in that, the devolution, the Constitution of Kenya, and so on. I don't think that
he's been known to be very forthright. When we start seeing him backtracking, saying one thing today,
but like I said, some of these things, if Raila was in any other African country and yet he stood his ground in some of these things, the country would burn.
Yes.
So sometimes it takes you taking a back seat. Some of the retreats, we have retreated because the country becomes more powerful, the country becomes more important. Even today, if you ask any of us in ODM or Azimi, would wish that the whole of Kenya Kwanza would go home. We would wish that Ruto would go home mbio na Gachagua yake yote. Because these people created, and Kiruga yote. For the first time, to go home. Kiruga, wait. For the first time, somebody created an idea of a shareholder. For the first time, you are being told that they were creating a class war, which was very dangerous to this country. We told them that you are going to destroy. Then They created a class war, us versus them, bottom ikuje up. When they got to power, they forgot the bottom. Now the middle class, mobilized, finance. You saw doctors, teachers, everybody, taxi drivers offering. For the first time, I saw the taxi drivers helping the disabled. There's a guy with 5 taxis who was walking, he put stickers written for the disabled demonstrators only. And he was trying to help the PWDs. I said, this is so beautiful. This, everybody's playing a role. You know, only what you see just in New York and Washington and so in developed countries was happening in Kenya. Doctors were mobilizing. They collected the highest amount of blood, mobilized in the country in the recent past. For the first time, it was very beautiful. We would want these people to go home. But what if we storm State House today, remove all of them, go home. We occupy Health House, we destroy, we burn documents. They go to City Hall, they banned. Today, me as the member of Nairobi City County Assembly, we can't operate. The assembly was looted, burned, you know, everything destroyed. The Hansard there, we have to reconstruct anew. You know, from the available records we have, everything was destroyed. If we let this thing go for another 2-3 weeks, we are going to face destruction because they'll finish with the politicians, then they come to businesses.
Yes.
A friend of mine, Dominic Mwangi, operating along Wabera Street, is a pilot by day, but on a side business here, selling computers. Lost 7 million worth of stock. This guy borrowed a loan. He was been a young guy whom I saw emerge from some of the slums in this country. Taught himself through the pilot schools, the flight training schools, and now he's a pilot. When he was away flying in Ethiopia, his old shop got burnt away, 7 million worth of stock. This guy is almost committing suicide. You know, Carrefour, right opposite the assembly, destroyed. Kenyatta Avenue. A lot of these things happen. If you let, you know what will always happen? Let me teach Gen Z. Maybe
but this has happened before during Mandamano. Last year we saw quite a lot of destruction.
That's what I wanted to teach you. That's what I want to teach you. When we get to the street, I'm giving you a secret which Gen Z needs to borrow very fast. When we get to the street, we always not get more than 1,000 people to the street. These people are in their hundreds of thousands. Not more than 1,000 people. You get 20 people to lead these people.
Yes.
You see? Before the leaders come out, you get 20 people. These 20 people you can control. You tell them no banning of, no looting. So these people, every time somebody attempts to loot, anapigwa. Somebody attempts to pickpocket, anapigwa. It's a very controlled demonstration. But you have people who are on Moi Avenue, Kenyatta Avenue, Harambee Avenue. There is no leader.
Are you saying the Mandamanos last year are better controlled than what we
better
saw
control,
the
better control. The people who destroyed us are the police because they were targeting. They are trying to follow the leaders, but the leadership is very. And wait, I finish. You see, Kenya Kwanza came to this country and destroyed anything to do with political party leadership. They did. The political parties fund were never released. In fact, they reduced it from, I think, 1.4 billion to 600 million. They wanted it completely removed. We told Kenya Kwanza that what you are doing is going to cause destruction because political leadership, political parties play a very key point in the destruction, in the stability of the country. Today, you are seeing a protest which is not led by any political parties because even ODM today is struggling to pay the bills. When you have such a situation, what is going to happen is that the people are going to rise in a very unstructured manner because the political parties cannot amount any.
It is scary. It is scary, isn't it?
It is very scary.
Okay, I'll give you each 2 minutes for your final remarks. Yeah. So let's start with you.
No, let's start.
No, you're not ready for your final remarks because I only have 2 minutes for each. Then Jerry, go first.
You see, Keroga wants me to start so that they can hammer me now with their new best friend member. But I want to tell them, and I want to tell every other political class member who is feeling like you see, member for Chinga has said that they backed up Baba to go for AU. But what they're not telling Kenyans is because they backed him up because they knew when Baba goes to AU has regulations. You can't be partisan in Kenyan politics. You are just a normal voter. You come, vote, go back to AU. And they were hoping that when Baba exits, now they will have their time to do everything. Then they realized, even with Baba gone, the Gen Zs are still taking people to the street. And that is why you see them trying to bring it look like opposition and Kenya Kwanza will have a handshake. And ultimately, they might not do it in broad daylight, but from the sentiments that from member of Kikileleshwa, who we know has been a very key person in opposition and who has always been very reserved about some of the things that happen in Kenya Kwanza, when you start to listen to them discuss that Gen Zs are not structured, which is very factual. But I want to tell them, Gen Z at their own time, for now we are political, we are partyless, we are tribeless, we are leaderless, but we are starting from there. You can remember very well back in the KANU days where they were all together. They got to a point and everybody left and went to their own structured ways. Gen Z is going to get there. And anybody and any politician who has thoughts of 2027 elections should be very careful not to be swept away by this political incitement, and they take the route of, because Baba is with us, we will not get it wrong, and they forget that Gen Z at this point have told Baba, tutakusalimia pia wewe. And if Gen Z today say, we are going to all take our votes and do A, B, C, and D, even Baba, whom we love so much, will be in for a shock, because if Gen Z decide now, you have also joined our oppressors in bed behind the scenes, despite it not being openly, we are also going to send a warning to you and your people. It's going to be very difficult. And I want to tell every young person listening, please, take keen when you hear members like, and I like referring to member of Kikuyu because he has one of the people who has been very key in making it look as if opposition should not have been there. The young people and those who are in the movement for Gen Z, those who are occupied, and I want to appreciate the fact that the Senate now has come into a lot of soberness, and they have said, now we need to go down to county governments. The hit they are feeling right now, they should remember it's only here on the top. By the time we get down to bottom up, where they said that they want this country to go, it's going to be chaos everywhere. Now it's members of parliament and some few national figures. When we get to the level of member for Chinga, he will not be saying as he's saying right now.
Wow. Member for Chinga.
Now, you cannot threaten me. With me, I'm a very tough, I'm a tough nut to crack. The issue is to the genuine Gen Zs who have good intentions for this country. You know when you are on top, everyone wants to be associated with you, including the bad characters, misleading characters, all type of people. Some pretenders, they want to seem associated with you. And that is where you see the president might appear like he's not very much on top, but those of us who know him and genuinely know he cares about this country, we are sticking with him. I want to tell the Gen Zs, when they hear being told, we are leaderless, we are structureless, we're tribeless, and all that, there lies the trap. Because nature abhors vacuum. Even God, when he created this world, there is a hierarchy. We recognize God as the topmost being in the whole universe. Now, when they leave a vacuum, there is nobody who can negotiate for them. You cannot exist in a vacuum. That's the law of nature. Okay. Those people telling you and encouraging you a lot of that time. That's why you see, as my brother here was saying, we are doing a show. 10 million is poured, more than 10 million is poured. Podium is made quickly. Those guys telling you we have no leaders, they come and assume the leadership. The likes of Boniface Mwangi, the likes of Mteta, and the other characters there. So don't be lied to. You are free to take part in voting in this country. Align with some of us, we have come, we have really sacrificed. We understand you. Okay. With me, I've had to leave the comfort of home, go employed in a very small hotel. I was sleeping in the kitchen there on have a mattress. So I understand when people say they have no job, when people say they have challenges, I fully understand. Okay. And we are ready to support these, our young people. And as my brother Robert says, identify those of us who can mentor you properly, those of us who wishes you well, because we have even been supporting Gen Z in our areas, even without showing it.
Finally,
thank you.
Asante sana. Thank you so much. To the Gen Zs, I think what you need to realize is that you might fear the politicians and say that they are misusing you, but remember there are people who are going to misuse you for their civil society gains. There are mandamano gains, people who are not even going to allow you to audit how much of the raised amount they actually used. And so be careful of the people who are going to use you. I ask you, please, operate in a structured manner.
Yes.
If you don't have structures, even for a family,
yes,
the family will be destroyed. Yes. So for Gen Zs, come out, you know, it's your right to demonstrate, it's your right to express yourself the way you want, but remember, you have to operate in a structured environment.
Okay. Thank you so much, Robert Alai, MCA Kileleshwa.
Thank you.
Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Chinga, Chairperson UDA, MCA Caucus, and member of the NEC of the UDA party, and Njerika Higa, National Youth Leader, Political Party.